I think there's two things that one as a company needs to consider. It's really the need for a documentation team, for a technical writing team. Let's move past the old, it is a legal requirement. It's almost like we're being foisted upon people and they have to deal with us. This is not the purpose of the main reason behind documentation. Documentation is really about getting customers to self-serve, to support themselves, to reduce support hours from your support people. You
Yeah.
have a cost, obviously, as a team. Hopefully, that is less than the one that is incurred by not providing adequate support or, not having massive teams of support personnel.
Welcome to the Knowledge Based Ninjas podcast, where Gauri Ramkumar of Document 360 finds the best SaaS self-service knowledge bases in the world and then interviews their creators. Let's get started with today's episode.
Good day, everyone. Our guest today is Paul Taylor, Technical Content Manager at Anaplan. Welcome to the Knowledge Based Ninjas podcast. Paul, how are you doing today?
I am very pleased to be here. It's been a busy day, but I'm making a little time to put this in and answer your questions. Yeah, is hopefully it'll be, useful to the community at large.
Absolutely, absolutely. Paul, before I start, I'm amazed at the level of experience you've got in this whole space. So I won't let you with the small introduction. So please help us understand how did you end up in this journey? How are things going? And explain a bit more about yourself, Paul.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. It is kind of self-serving to do this kind of introduction, but yeah, just so people understand, I came into technical writing fairly late in life, and like many people in the industry, it is a crossroads moment, right? Where you're doing something else completely different or related, usually related, and all of a sudden you find yourself going, why not? Let's try this out. And you
Mhm.
turn out to be fairly decent at what you're doing, and things just start happening, right? So I've been around technology and writing my entire life, not just professional life, but my entire life. I started off as an intern writing for an IT magazine, then did that for a few years, tapped it out, if I can say that, then moved into corporate communications, and media was at a transition stage, if you can see it that way, from print media to online media. I pivoted into IT. After a few years of doing this, I got a call out of the blue from a recruiter who'd seen my profile and they thought I'd be a good fit for a job they had on hand, which was a technical writing role, associate technical writer. I wasn't in the UK at the time. I'm currently based out of the UK. And it was with a local payment processing company. So my first contact was really the payment industry. I did that for not a very long time. I was there for like 9 months and got another call from a different recruiter from a well-known recruitment service. And they basically just said, we've got a job for you. It's, you know, more senior, pays better, closer to your house. I was like, well, why not? I mean, it kind of checked a few boxes that I found as little niggles, little gripes that I had with my current situation. And I moved to SAP, spent 7 years at SAP, and I think indirectly because it was a very marginal market for SAP at the time, there was not a lot of headroom for growth. It was be that I had those conversations with my manager. I am now a manager,
Yeah.
obviously, and I had those conversations with my manager, how to achieve growth, put everything, collect the evidence, put everything in place, set up a development plan, all that. And after a frustrating couple of years, I thought, no, I really need to try my luck elsewhere. And I'm a dual national. I'm UK and Portuguese citizen. So I moved to the UK. Sorry, I found a job in the UK, moved to the UK. And as my manager at the time said, do you really want to do this? This is not London. I said, well, yes. I do. So I moved to York, of all places, beautiful postcard city. I think lots of history and a little removed from the hustle of the big cities. And
Absolutely.
I was just able to keep on doing what I liked, which had become technical writing. Officially, I am a technical content designer, but it shares 90% of the DNA of technical writing. And at some point in time, I got an opportunity to move into a technical writing management role or technical content management role. And this is where I'm at right now. So yeah, so that's sorry, in a very extended and in-depth history of my
It's
career.
very, very nice to hear this, Paul. It shows how long you've been in this career and the level of companies you've worked. Now, as a company, according to you, what should be the first steps when thinking about building a technical writing team from scratch?
As a company, okay. Yeah, I have my cheat sheet about as a manager. As a company, I think there's two things that one as a company needs to consider. It's really the need for a documentation team, for a technical writing team. Let's move past the old, it is a legal requirement. It's almost like we're being foisted upon people and they have to deal with us. This is not the purpose of the main reason behind documentation. Documentation is really about getting customers to self-serve, to support themselves, to reduce support hours from your support people. It is a lot of hard to quantify or hard to, yes, well, quantify would be the right word, elements that altogether are a service you're providing to the company that will reduce costs for the company. Okay. You
Yeah.
have a cost, obviously, as a team. Hopefully, that is less than the one that is incurred by not providing adequate support or, not having massive teams of support personnel supporting customers. That is.
Nice. Now, when it comes to the team structure,
Mhm.
how do you balance hiring experienced writers versus junior writers?
Yeah, this is actually my present situation. We've been hiring for our team since middle of last year. So middle of 2024, we've managed to secure three headcounts, which was absolutely brilliant. Teams go through a lot of transformation. Obviously, you lose people due to attrition. That is
Mm.
natural. That is the way things work. But how do we balance that, the experience levels? I think you obviously want a good mix of experience levels. You want the people who have a lot of experience. They might have knowledge gaps in terms of product naturally. I don't think I've met a single technical writer or content designer who knows my company. That
Yeah.
is it. So that product knowledge is lacking across the entire landscape of candidates. There is a mix of how they fit with the rest of the team in terms of not just culture, but collaboration, right? So collaboration being one of the cornerstones of a technical writing team, not just having people who can support each other, but people who can actually improve and develop each other. So how do you balance the experience levels? Because my company is fairly unique, you
Yeah.
can come from a background with a lot of experience or very little experience. They tend to balance themselves out in any
Okay.
way because they don't know the product, right? So
Yeah.
they're ramping up in terms of both writing skills and so the ones with less experience ramp up writing skills and product knowledge, and the ones with more experience become acquainted with style guides and the writing workflow, and then
Mm-hmm.
they become acquainted with the product, right? So I currently have a situation where I have a fairly inexperienced writer and another writer with, well, almost twice as much experience as I do. And this is
Okay.
obviously, this can create some awkward conversations. That is normal. There's no need to fear those conversations. But yeah, in my case, I'm happy to say it kind of self-balances, right? And you
Yeah.
just take it as it comes. In that sense, I've got the easy job. Yeah.
Okay. Now, then I'm going to ask you this question. What do you call as challenges when building or managing a technical writing team?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And as an individual, okay, the biggest challenge for me was to let go. As in, I was very hands-on in terms of writing. My product knowledge is probably, I say, pretty decent in the product. And all of a sudden, you just have to let that go and focus on the management aspects of the job, right? So there's the manager challenges, and then there's the actual team challenges. Other challenges, I mean, you've got the standard ones like resource allocation, knowing how many people you have available, how much time they have available to work on projects, making sure projects are scoped out correctly. The hiring seems to be a sticking point for a lot of companies nowadays. I'm not exactly sure where it took a bad turn. Hiring technical writers and content designers seems to have taken a turn for the worse. And I'm not sure if it's the diversity of roles that are available nowadays, which presents itself as a challenge to recruiters and TAs, or whether it's really, AI filtering in recruitment processes, the TAs being under capacity or the HR departments being under capacity. So we got a taste of this when we were recruiting, obviously. We got a lot of people with some very good skill sets, and just going through the motions, right, of the actual recruitment was very long and painstakingly long, actually, until we found the right people. So hiring talent, that's an issue. That's a main challenge. Retaining that talent, that is a big deal. Attrition happens, circumstances change, companies, I wouldn't say go under, but companies change, budgets. They're not going to invest. They might want to lay off people. AI again, you'll notice there's an underlying tone of AI to a lot of subjects nowadays. AI seemed at one point in time like the boogeyman of technical writers, because everybody all of a sudden went into a frenzy about being replaced by AI. I've got to say, I found AI and I've listened to a few of the podcasts from Knowledge Base Ninjas, and absolutely 100% agree. AI is our research assistant. I am firmly in that. It speeds up so much of what we do without replacing us, because AI only works on existing content, right? So if you've got some good sources, you can get good research done. You can speed up a lot of workflows and get a lot of things done. Let me see. I got a lot of ideas about this. The challenge is ramping up people. If they're experienced, they're chomping at the bit, and they want to become productive right away.
On the project straight away.
Yeah. And you need to make sure that while they have the experience, that they are aligned with the rest of the team and the best practices and the guidelines and style guides, etc. So that can become sometimes tricky. The same thing, in a sense, ramping up the novice writers can also be tricky, because for all their good intentions, sometimes they may have excess confidence, right? And you need them to slow down a bit sometimes. And that's actually a very, very interesting dynamic that shows up there. You actually have to manage expectations really well. And I'm not saying by any means that I am great at managing expectations or anything. It's just I've observed this and I've tried to address that. The success of that is, only time will tell.
Yeah, your experience speaks a lot.
Yeah.
So if we can move on to the rapid fire round questions, any valuable resources, particularly on the documentation space, that you would like to recommend to our viewers today?
Yeah, I mean, I have a number of things, a number of sites. So one thing I will say right away, Write the Docs is, if not the largest, one of the largest communities that interacts with the writers, I think at the correct level, right? So they're talking to people on Slack, they've got in-person conferences, which are great, absolutely brilliant. And I would recommend anybody to attend their many on-site conferences. They do, during COVID, they did a lot of streamed conferences. They did a couple of streamed conferences, I think. but it is basically my go-to for a tech writing community. I mean, I have little Signal groups
Mhm.
and Telegram groups where I interact with other
Yeah.
technical writers and kind of, but that's more like a shoulder to cry on in this
Yeah.
situation. There's an old favorite of mine, which is I'd rather be writing, which may have been mentioned by many interviewees before. It is an excellent blog and it is great introducing people to technical writing. Okay.
Okay.
I've recently read tons of AI related articles. I don't think a single one stands out because none of them, it's still a very raw subject, right? Everybody has an opinion, everybody has an experience to share, right? In a year's time, we'll start seeing actual results from people who've tested, measured the efficacy and put into production AI workflows, right? And
Yeah.
that's where things will get really interesting. And then you'll see tooling, a lot of tooling around AI. So there's that. I just keep an eye out for that. And one resource that I would recommend if you are technically inclined, there's a website called epicreact.dev. I am completely unrelated to that website, but
Mm-hmm.
it is about React. And this is a JavaScript library for meant to create UIs. Okay.
Okay.
And it goes hand in hand with a number of static site generators and Markdown. And I think if you're technically inclined and you ever get into SSGs, so static site generators, it is a good thing to know. And it is one of the best resources on the subject, right? And yeah, and that's basically it. There's I can go on, as you can tell. I can go on.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
on.
something that just comes to your mind straight away. So it was great to have those two resources.
Yeah.
And now, one word that comes to your mind when you hear the word documentation.
Hmm.
Only one word.
Yeah, one word, clearer clarity, doesn't matter. I think documentation needs to be crystal clear, right? While we tend to overlook that, most people may not be, our audience may not be a native English speaker. I think crystal clear documentation is of the utmost importance because it removes the ambiguity in the meaning of the words. It removes any blockers for that learning experience, right? And and it actually helps people self-serve, right? Which is what we really want. We don't want people starting up tickets with support. We don't want people going on forums and getting the wrong information.
Mm-hmm.
We want crystal clear and okay, obviously accurate information about our products, right?
Right. Now, a piece of advice you would give to a 20-year-old self?
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to more technical writers. Okay. Talk to a lot more people and not it doesn't need to be specifically a technical writer. It can be product managers, obviously other stakeholders that we find in our kind of inner circle of technical writing. Talk to a lot more people about the job and what is expected, because this will give you an understanding of kind of your role. Even if you've got a job description for yourself, the expectations of other people may be substantially different. So yeah, talk a lot more to people who are technical writers or work with technical writers and have a view on
Mhm.
this. Yeah, it just just puts you in the right place.
Absolutely. Now, I know it's not possible to condense your so many years of experience in this technical writing career, Paul, but it was an absolute pleasure to connect with you in the last 20-25 minutes. And anything else you would like to add to our audiences at this point?
Just get out there, be proactive about yourselves as writers, about your product, learn your product. That is absolutely crucial. It just gives you an advantage in all regards. And and just don't wait for things to happen. Just go out there. I mean, this might be life advice rather than technical writing advice, but I find it hits home with technical writing.
Thank you.
Great.
So once again, thank you, Paul, for staying with us in this podcast series, and all the very best for your upcoming projects. And let's stay in touch.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Knowledge Based Ninjas podcast. Please head to iTunes, rate, and provide honest feedback on the podcast. See you next week.